Well, good morning, Michael.
How are we?
Doing well. It is Friday. How are you doing?
Doing good. Always excited about Friday. And,
Always excited about Friday, week 2 of college football season.
My Cowboys did not embarrass themselves last night, so I'm good.
That's right. And last weekend was a good weekend for us at Kentucky as well. And we got a big game this weekend. But we want to welcome everyone to Experience Friday Live. An awesome day today because experience matters, and the experiences you and your company create hold the power to make and break you. And I am Shawn Nason, for those of you that don't know me, podcaster, author, CEO, just chief getting shit done with Michael Harper. I know, Michael, I heard, Michael, your cat back there. My dog may bark, so it's fine. But hey, Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about the experience ecosystem, because we talk about that on this show, and really excited to have our guest today because his book came out and it ties right into our experience ecosystem. Give us a minute.
Exactly. The whole reason we're here is that we are tired of hearing all the frustrations from people about all the experience silos that they navigate each and every day. And these silos are created by well-meaning humans. And anytime you put the human equation into an org chart, things happen that may not be best for the organization. And so we're focused on ecosystems, and we're focused on healthy ecosystems, which tear down those silos and focus on that web of people, touch points, interactions that come together. And every ecosystem is a little bit different. And on this show, we want to focus on as many different areas and insights as we can from around all kinds of ecosystems. So that's why it's great to have Dan here, who is focused on customer experience, but from the sales and marketing side of things. And I don't want to say too much until we get Dan into the room, but let's just say that I think it's a really, really important piece of the ecosystems, and I'm equally excited about the book.
Yes, because his book did just come out. So Dan Gingiss is an international keynote speaker and customer experience coach who believes that a remarkable customer experience is your best marketing strategy. His 20-year professional career has spanned multiple disciplines, including customer experience, marketing, social media, and customer service. Dan is the host of the Experience This podcast and the Experience Maker show on Thursdays on LinkedIn, and his new book, The Experience Maker: How to Create Remarkable Experiences That Your Customers Can't Wait to Share, is now available on Amazon. And so let's welcome Dan to the stage with us.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
Hey, Dan. And not only that, but we also had you on our podcast this week. So if you enjoy what you hear today, Dan is on the podcast this week on the Combustion Chronicles.
Cannot get enough.
Are you excited?
I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped. It's very exciting. This has been a long process. I started it really right at the beginning of COVID. I when I watched all of my speaking gigs kind of come off the calendar at once, I realized I was going to have a little time on my hands, and so spent the first 8 to 10 weeks of COVID writing most of the book. And really excited to see it coming out now, and also excited to see speaking events coming back, which is great. And so thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, Michael and I do our first live, like we haven't done any speaking events like you live, and literally have one the next 3 weeks, every week. So it's like, here we are. It's finally happening a little bit. So Dan, you just shared a little bit, but more in detail, really, like, and I was really happy. I got this book, in June? Some big key things, but you talked about COVID and all, but what really compelled you to write this book? Because you and I have had some great conversations, when we've met, but what really compelled you to take this when you start talking about creating these remarkable experiences?
Well, Shawn, I love being a storyteller. And when I'm on stage, I get to tell a lot of stories, but I don't get to tell all of them because I only have 35 minutes or whatever it is. And I've collected all of these stories over the years, both from my own professional career at a lot of big companies, and also just from experiencing different companies myself, and having a lot of people send them in. You mentioned our podcast, Experience This. We share customer experience stories every week there. So I really wanted to put them together in a single spot. And the thing for me is that all of the examples in the book, all of the case studies, are intentionally simple, practical, and inexpensive. Because I've been in corporate America, I know how hard it is to get things done. I know how hard it is to get legal approval and to get budget and to get through all the red tape. And so the ideas that I share with people are meant to be so easy that you really don't need to do all of that. And if I get to inspire even a few people to help their company become more customer centric, then I think I've done my job, because we all know when we've got those customer centric companies, those are the ones we love doing business with.
Yeah, so agree with you, Dan. And you actually sent us a little stoke that I want our people to see, that, that 49% of customers say they would post a positive review online or on social media after a good experience. 30% of consumers said that they would post a negative review online or on social media after a negative experience. Why are these stats so important for organizations to understand?
Well, when we think about what gets shared on social, we think about negative stuff because that's what we see more of. But what I love about that stat is it shows that consumers are actually more willing to share positive experiences. The problem, of course, we don't have very many positive experiences to share, but therein lies the opportunity for businesses. You can be that company that creates the positive experience that people want to share. So the desire to share is out there. Think about it. Anytime we have an amazing experience, maybe someone throws us a surprise party, or we get married, or whatever we love sharing positive things in our lives. That holds true also for positive experiences that we have with brands. We just don't have enough of them to share. And so, I always do this thing when I'm speaking. I ask the audience, how many people remember the last time that they were so wowed by a brand they couldn't wait to tell friends and colleagues? And no matter how big the audience is, invariably there's only 4 hands that go up. Then I say, who remembers the last time that you were disappointed by a brand? And every hand in the room goes up. And the last time I did this in June in front of a live audience, the guy in the front row literally jumped out of his seat saying, that just happened this morning, and literally wanted to interrupt my speech to tell me about his experience. People remember that stuff because there's more of it to remember. But if we understand that people are willing to share the positive ones, then you can see the opportunity.
So is it truly that there's we're not looking at any ups or downs here, but is there a dearth of good experiences, or has business stayed the same with their approach, and we the consumers have higher expectations?
I think yes is the answer to your question. I think both things are happening. There are not nearly enough positive experiences to share. The vast majority of the experiences that we have are average. So, meh, comme ci, comme ça, así, whatever you want to say. They're just in the middle, right? And nobody wants to share that. Nobody has ever gone onto social media and said, guys, I got to tell you about the perfectly average restaurant I went to last night. It's just not something we share. And so there is definitely that need. However, you are right that customer expectations continue to grow higher. And part of that is because there are companies that do provide consistently great experiences. I know it's a little bit cliche, but you got to immediately focus on Amazon. Amazon has figured out that they are even willing to lose money on a single transaction because they are committed towards the long-term relationship with the customer.
That's exactly what was in my head. Amazon was bouncing around how they have changed the game of what we expect from a company that serves us.
Well, totally. And whether you're B2B or B2C, it doesn't matter. Your customers shop at Amazon, so they know what a great experience looks like.
Well, and something on that whole thing, and Dan, you and I are part of a group on LinkedIn, and there was actually some discussion about this in our group this week. Like, does that mean, does consumers' expectations change on a product versus a service? And I actually quoted and talked about the Amazon thing, because Amazon sells products through, right? But that's their service that we all talk about. I don't go on Amazon, or I don't go on shows and podcasts and talk about, oh, this product, I bought Dan's book on Amazon. This product is amazing, which it is, but it's the service, right? Yeah. So that's that. Although they're selling product, it's their service we talk about. And I think that's something we need to really understand.
For sure. And I share in the book, I actually got access through a secret admirer, sent me a photo from a Amazon call center. And it showed Amazon's 6 customer service tenets and basically what drives their service. And I'm telling you, if every company just did that, we'd be in a totally different place. But I also tell a personal story where I ordered a set of pots and pans, and one of the lids, a glass lid, showed up completely shattered. The rest of the set was fine. So I called up Amazon because I just wanted a replacement lid. I wasn't upset or anything. I just wanted it replaced. Well, the woman on the phone took about 2 minutes and said, you know what? I don't know how to get you a replacement lid. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to refund your money for the entire purchase. You go ahead and keep the pots and pans. So I go from being disappointed that I had a shattered lid to, woohoo, I got free pots and pans, right? And it's a 180 experiential change. And again, Amazon lost money on that transaction. We know that, but they also know that I'm going to be a customer for 20 more years and buy an ungodly amount of stuff. And so it's worth the investment for them.
So that's right out of Disney's playbook, right? They would rather refund your disappointing vacation and make you a long-term customer than to argue over, $500 or $1,000 or whatever. And I think it's really easy for people in leadership roles, people who are in ownership roles of companies, that, okay, Amazon does that, Disney does that, that's great. Those are huge corporations with all this machine behind them. How the heck am I supposed to bring this to my leadership role or my company? Like, what do you tell people on the ground who are trying just to get through today?
So one of the other examples that I talk about in the book that I just love is a local toy and game store in Chicago. Now, I'm a big board game fan. My kids and I play lots of board games together. And I walked into this store and 2 things really stood out to me. The first is that the woman behind the counter was basically a human version of Amazon's recommendation engine. Oh, you like Settlers of Catan? You're going to love this game and this game and this game. And they were all games I had never heard of. But she had credibility with me, right? Because she knew. The second thing that I thought was amazing was in the back of the store, they actually had a board game library, and you could check out a game, sit down at the table and play it before you go and invest $50, $60, $70 in buying this game. They even have singles nights where they invite singles to come and play board games. It's brilliant. And here's a small business, a local mom and pop, doing what Amazon can't do. And they are therefore competing very well against Amazon. So when people say Amazon killed local businesses, I disagree. I think local businesses killed local businesses. Compare that toy and game store to a large brand that we all lost a couple of years ago and everybody was sad, Toys R Us. Except Toys R Us, for 30 years, had the exact same retail store. It was the same in 2018 as it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
All it was products on shelves. And you look at that versus something like a Lego store where kids, it's like a destination. People love going to the Lego store because they get to play with Legos. And yeah, lots of people come in and they play with Legos and they don't buy anything. And that's okay because Lego knows that they're building fans for life. Toys R Us should have been the ultimate kids destination. They should have had birthday parties. It should have been the place where you can go to test out any toy before you buy it. And instead, it was just products on shelves. And so shockingly, it went bankrupt and it's gone. So the point in all of this is that any company, big or small, can create experience and can compete with the bigger companies. You don't have to have the money and the resources that a Disney or a Starbucks or an Amazon have, but you do have to have the mentality of being customer centric and understanding that our customers are our best and most important assets.
Well, and I think something that we have to also, and I love your story about the toy store and the board games, because I also know that in those situations, you'll go visit that store, and if you have to pay $5 more for that game at that store versus buying it on Amazon, let's just use that, you would do that because they've focused on that. I do think some of the issue that I am seeing today, and you just mentioned a big brand like Starbucks. I had probably one of the worst experiences I've ever had in a Starbucks last week. And their baristas are not empowered to make the experience right. That's what I learned very fast.
Interesting.
A mobile order took 45 minutes to get. And all I got was, I'm sorry, we're understaffed by 3 people today. We'll get you your drink as soon as we can. Not how can we make it right, not right. And those are the things that I think when the big behemoths become big, they can start to lose sight of. And I do applaud the Amazons and obviously, the mouse behind me, Disney, like they've tried to keep that and other big organizations as part of their DNA. And I think we have to talk about that. And there's 2 things in the book that I want to talk about. We don't have a ton of time today. I wish we had more. I really want you to talk about, because you start to talk about it in chapter 4, Dan, this method of whys. Yeah. And so would love for you to give us a brief overview of that, of what whys really means.
Sure. So I want readers to become wise to customer experience. And WISE stands for witty, immersive, shareable, and extraordinary. And these are 4 things that you can do to take those average so-so experiences and turn them into something better. And the good news is that the bar is still so low for customer experience that it doesn't take a lot to get over it. But what it does take is being better than average. And so WISE helps you do that. And an example, witty is it's not about being hysterical. It's about being clever, using language to your advantage, and refusing to be boring. Immersive is about making sure that the whole experience is connected and consistent and that people feel some emotion after going through it. Shareable is about inserting intentionally a moment in your customer journey where people are going to want to share it. And it doesn't happen by accident. It can be subtle, but it has to be intentional. And extraordinary is looking for those places where you're ordinary and you can just kick it up a notch, as Emerald used to say, and make it a little bit better, right? doesn't have to be. Extraordinary is not about, hey, let's have a private client event where we do a private fireworks show and a private concert by Bruce Springsteen, right? Like, that would be great, but who's got $5 million to spare to pull that off? So when I say, again, that it's simple, practical, and inexpensive, getting from ordinary to extraordinary doesn't have to be crazy expensive, but it does have to be intentional. And then, go ahead. I was going to say, maybe jumping the gun, I then add one more letter to the WISE acronym, and that is the R, which is being responsive. And I want you to be wiser than the competition. And what happens when you use WISE is you will get more customers talking about you, especially in social media. And when they do, you want to be part of that conversation. So many brands forget to engage with the people who are talking nice about them. We're so used to only handling complaints because that's what call centers have done forever, right? You talk to a contact center agent, no one's ever gotten a compliment. But all of a sudden in social media, we get people saying nice things about us. It's really important that we're there to be part of that conversation.
And the R word that I was going to ask you about is the remarkable word.
Yeah.
Because the book and this approach, for me, what I've enjoyed the most is that this is accessible stuff that makes sense. And this is not one of those fluffy, highfalutin, aspirational thing that you're going to get frustrated if you pay attention to. This is attainable. And I love the better than average. We're not talking about game-changing millions of dollars of investment. We're not talking about, having to rethink your entire business strategy. What we're talking about is being strategic about what better than average means. And I love the word remarkable. And I'm guessing that you spent some time, it's in the subtitle, so I'm guessing you spent some time zeroing in on the word remarkable. There could be a lot of stuff in that place, a lot of adjectives that could be describing. How did you get to remarkable?
Well, it's a great question. Thank you for pointing it out. And I totally agree with you, first of all, that customer experience does not have to be a multi-year, multi-million-dollar transformational process. It can be a series of little steps. And that's what the book is really meant to do, is to help you get into the mentality of constant improvement. And that's both eliminating pain points and taking ordinary or boring parts of the experience and making them better. The word remarkable is there because it means literally worthy of remark, worthy of discussion. The experience has to be good enough that I want to talk about it as a customer, right? Otherwise, it doesn't particularly matter. And so talking about it can come in lots of forms. It could be just that I tell friends and family about it. It could be that I tell colleagues about it at work. It could be that I post on social media. It could be that I leave a positive review on a review site. These are all ways that I can remark about a experience that I've had. And so it's about getting to remarkable is the idea of it being worth talking about.
Well, I love it, and I hate that we're getting close on time, but I do want to ask you one thing, because the last chapter of the book is entitled COVID-19 and the Future of Customer Experience. So, Dan, in your opinion, what is one or two trends about social media and CX that we need to pay attention to in 22 and beyond now because of what we have gone through over the last 18 months?
I think the two that come to mind for me, the first is business continuity planning. And before your eyes glaze over, because mine used to do that too, I used to sit in business continuity planning meetings and we used to laugh at all of these calamities that we were preparing for, right? Oh, there's never going to be a terrorist attack. There's never going to be a hurricane. There's never going to be a pandemic. Why are we talking about this? I mean, the last time we had a tornado in Chicago was like never, okay, until actually a couple of weeks ago, a tornado touched down. And so business continuity planning is now going to be, I think, the compliance of 2021. You know, within the last 5-10 years ago, it was all the banks and healthcare companies were hiring compliance people up the yin yang. And now It's about business continuity planning. We have to be prepared for whatever comes next. A lot of companies were caught unprepared within a week of the pandemic happening. And when I talk about being prepared, I mean being prepared for your business to be completely shut down, for your employees to be completely stuck at home and not able to come in. All of that happened this time, and a lot of companies weren't prepared. Next time, they're going to have to be. The other theme that I see for sure is this concept of safety. And safety can come in lots of different forms. And certainly how I feel safe might be different than how you feel safe or somebody else. But the bottom line is that customers are not going to do business with companies where they don't feel safe, and employees are not going to work at companies where they don't feel safe. And that could be physical safety, which can involve, obviously, the fear of catching a virus, but also, slip.
Oh, did we lose him?
He froze.
He froze on us.
So safety.
Huge
point. And I like that he was talking about that safety may be different between you and me.
Right.
But we need to spend some time understanding what safety means for sure.
Well, let me see if we can bring him back up. But if not, let me do this. Dan's book is available, The Experience Maker, on Amazon. Look at Michael's got his on his.
The Kindle version.
I got the hard copy. As well, if you want to get a hold of Dan, you can get a hold of Dan at www.dangingiss.com, and you can book him there. And then just some final things from our side of it here. Next week, we will have Pamela Hammond, Senior Director of U.S. Customer Success at Jorns Healthcare. She'll be joining us as well. And this week, we have our new podcast, Banking on Experience Design. This is another one of our episodes with 3 people, Robin Beers, Renee Pezzi, and Andres Ospina, all from banks and all. So we will love having them with us next week. And guess who came back? He froze.
I actually lost power. All the power went out. I have no idea why. It's a beautiful sunny day here. But sorry about that.
Business continuity plan.
Business
right?
continuity.
And you
that?
put your trend in. Dan, we had told people, just want to make sure, dangingiss.com, they can get a hold of you. And the book, The Experience Maker, is available on Amazon.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Dan. If you'll hang on, we'll close out here. And Michael, any closing words for you for this week?
Great weekend.
Yep. Awesome, everybody. And here we will see you next week.